Okay, here's my 2 cents about grapevine communication. First of all, there's quite a distinction between a grapevine information that's coming to you informally through, a peer or someone that you're working with, and gossip. The difference is the gossip is about things that are trivial to your workplace. I think Susie's pregnant or something. It's gossip. It's information that's not pertinent to your job. So I think that anything that's gossipy, you are well served to not pass along. With regard to both of these, gossip and grapevine information, I think it's personally fine to hear it. After all, we don't know until someone tells us something whether we're going to categorize it as gossip or information that is just grapevine, informal information that may or may not be true. Gossip, though, has much more potential to harm others. So when we classify something as gossipy, I think our responsibility as communicators within the organization is to stop it with you. Now, I don't mean to proactively go out and find everyone who's talking about it and tell them they're bad or wrong or be the moral police or anything, but just simply in your own part, just be silent about it. And, I think it's fine if you wanted to comment to someone that, I find that to be, more gossip, and I just prefer, not to know more about that, or, I don't want to engage in a discussion about that person or those personal items or things that are not work-related. When things are work-related, generally there's a question as to whether they're valid or not. We won't know whether grapevine information is valid or not until sometime later. Proof's in the pudding, I guess. Generally, though, information that we get informally in the organization does have some validity. It's just that, like, you played that game before where you whisper some sentence in one person's ear and then they whisper it in someone else's ear, and it goes around the circle, and by the time it gets to the last person, the sentence is completely destroyed. It's a funny game. I think the same thing is true in grapevine communications. Oftentimes people add to the content a little bit, just a little bit, because it makes for a little bit better story. And after all, one of the main reasons that people share information in the grapevine is because it enhances their credibility. It projects the notion that they're in the know somehow, that they got this information from someone else, and that the person that they're telling it to isn't in the know with regard to that. And also they might be interested in getting more information from other people. So the more I share inside information with others in the organization, the more likely they might be to come to me and share information with me. And of course, this can benefit me, and it can benefit you to know more about what's going on in the organization. If I know that a manager might be leaving, then I might be able to position myself a little more favorably to take that position if I'm qualified to do so. So is grapevine information credible? Yes, probably to some extent it is. Is it distorted? I think you should expect that it is somewhat distorted and it's not 100% accurate. Should I hear grapevine information? I think I should. I don't think I'll go solicit it. I don't think I want to be in everyone's business, but to the extent to which normal interactions bring this information to me, I'm not going to say, I don't hear you, I don't hear you, I don't hear you. I don't want to be overly sensitive to it. This is part of what organizations do. There are kind of rumors going around, and it's both a little bit entertaining and constructive to know what the word on the street is. In fact, as a subordinate to a manager might call you in and say, what are they saying? And have every expectation that you are listening at least to what's going on, what the sentiments are in your work group, for instance. So some credibility, but some distortion in that information. Should you pass it on to other people? Well, probably you should be careful in passing it on to other people. Number one, you want to determine whether by sharing information about someone else in the organization or something in the organization that might be confidential, that you suspect is confidential information, you're not breaching the trust of someone else in the company. If sharing that information is breaching the trust of someone, and you really are troubled by the information you have, you probably should go to the source. If this is about John, rather than pass it on, maybe you should go to John and say, John, I heard informally this, and I wanted to address it. Number one, to let you know that some people are aware, apparently, or talking about this. And number two, I wonder if you could clarify for me personally. Now, if the person clarifies this for you and asks you not to tell anyone, then, I guess that's the other component of grapevine communication. Then do you go then and essentially betray them and tell someone else? Oftentimes, that's how these informal communications get spread. They're a violation of confidence. My conviction is that that should not take place in an organization, that it's overall going to break down communication in the organization and organizational effectiveness. So, though this is informal communication, I think there's real information in there that you can benefit from, but be very careful not to violate the rights of others. And for sure, if it's gossipy, in my view, you should put an end to it. Don't let it continue. At least don't repeat it. And maybe even tell people, I feel like that could be harmful to that individual, and I really wish that you wouldn't tell other people about it. It's fine that you told me, but I don't want to know any more about it. That's private information. So that's my 2 cents on grapevines. There's lots of research on it. Most of the research does indicate that there's truth in it, and also, of course, that it's truth that's been distorted because it's more than once removed from the actual facts. All right, thanks.